Kingdom campfires, they burn so bright. God guides us with His holy light. Entrepreneurs with faith so bold, transforming the marketplace, co-creating kingdom gold.
Hey guys, welcome to Kingdom Campfires podcast dedicated to marketplace wisdom and kingdom transformation. I'm your host, Michael Woodfield, and for the next few minutes, I want to invite you around a campfire style, authentic conversation as entrepreneurs and leaders just like you share their journey of seeking first the kingdom of God and co-laboring with Him in the marketplace. And I have some exciting news. Kingdom Campfires just launched our mobile app. It's a space where kingdom entrepreneurs can connect, get equipped for marketplace transformation. And when you join for free, you gain access to our business breakthrough roadmap, a simple system that shows you how to accelerate profits through kingdom principles. You can visit kingdomcampfires.com and join today. Today's guest is Justin Lund from Utah. Justin is the founder of Propel Enterprises, where he empowers business owners to break through their capacity ceilings. He teaches essential mind shifts, smart systems, and effective delegation strategies, enabling entrepreneurs to step back and enjoy their freedom without fear of their business falling apart. Justin, welcome to the Kingdom Campfires podcast. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with our first question. What inspired you to start your business?
Well, it was almost an accident. No, it was totally an accident, actually. Um, I was in business before, and I had a partner that was not always playing above board and ended up siphoning tens of millions of dollars out of the business, money that should have gone to pay taxes, money that should have gone, like money that wasn't his. And I had to spend about 4.5 years in litigation, like real intense, nasty, pretty intense litigation. In that period of time, I was also working with tax authorities, and I'm working with is probably not the right term. And they were really into my business and trying to figure out what was going on. Um, it was in the midst of that process, a friend of mine called, and she said that she was just starting a new company, and it was just her and one employee. And because I had all these professionals on staff now that were helping with this lawsuit, she asked if I could help do her payroll for her. She's like, I don't know anything about payroll. Would you just run that for me? I was like, I guess that's no big deal. That'll take just a few minutes. And then she told a few of her friends. They all called within a month. And we literally had no website, no company name. We just put it under like one of the entities that was there, just kind of as a holding company for many, many years. But within a year, we had 50 clients that we were serving and servicing and just doing the payroll. So that was, I don't know that I'd call it inspiration as much as, but it was, it was fantastic, Michael, in the sense that because I was so deep into this process that was just like grinding everything. It was really a taxing situation for me for years. And that was the beacon. That was the light spot there, is that I could help other people avoid some of the situations that I had gone through and was forced into almost through some of my ignorance and lack of paying attention, and really help them with an area that they didn't like. Most people don't start a business so they can file 941 federal tax returns, or, do the year-end tax process, or the biweekly, bi-monthly pay, whatever it is. That's just not the fun part. That's not what, there's very few people that jump into a spreadsheet for fun, unless you're an accountant, which is cool. But that part of it was really, it inspired me, I guess. So essentially, as the outcome of that, and I could help other people that were like me do a little bit better when it came to that stuff. And so that it really does light me up and inspires me now every day.
Yeah, that's really good. So if you're looking at your myriad of services that you provide, is bookkeeping still one of the top services that you're providing?
It's not as much anymore. In fact, we've separated most of that out this year. We'll still help people with it. But it was kind of the primary driver. But my job, what really lights me up about what I did was and do is working with the founders, because what I've found in those startup entrepreneurs is this passion to solve problems, is this willingness to work 24/7 and pour everything into their business and into the solutions they're trying to provide. But there's always, not always, there's typically this area that just kind of that holds them back. So even when we were doing full stat, like just full outsourced accounting and bookkeeping and the whole thing, I didn't do that. Wasn't my job. There was people way smarter than me to do that, right? They would get into QuickBooks and Excel spreadsheets and all that. But I would work with the clients on how to pull numbers out of the books to help them make informed decisions and help them kind of overcome that stifling, limiting belief that they're not good with numbers or
Yeah.
those kind of things. So I've kind of twisted that over the years, and in the last year, this year, 2025, just been focusing almost exclusively on coaching and working just with the founders and helping them
Yeah.
create the systems and the mindsets to deal with numbers, but doing less of the outsourced work for them and just helping them find the right solution to plug in and really working up here.
Yeah, that's really cool that you were able to transition that and into more of, the passion that the Lord has given you just for yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to be able to look at our business and see that it is fulfilling some of the passions inside of us.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at some of the misconceptions, I mean, there's so many things that happen in business, and people have this one concept, and you're looking at it from business principles. But then sometimes when you look at things through a lens of kingdom principles, it looks a little bit different. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it just things that can be okay in business doesn't necessarily mean it's following a kingdom principle. What are
Mhm.
some common misconceptions you see when you're looking at entrepreneurship that you encounter kind of that match in there where like, okay, they were doing this and it was okay, but it wasn't like necessarily lining up with some of the principles that maybe you have.
Well, if I can deviate off of that 10%, 10 degrees, maybe just a little,
Hmm.
I your question makes me think of a younger chapter of my life when I was 20, just early 20s, just got married and was trying to figure out how to deal with a family and a new wife and this all these changes as just a kid. And I got into trouble with prescription pain medications and became addicted to that. And was the Lord and His grace gave me so many second chances to come back and actually redeem myself through His grace that it was just, I mean, the story is pretty deep. I don't think we have the time for all of it, but maybe another time we can follow up. Um, but what I learned through that incredible experience, and it was rehab that saved my life, and it was, there was some jail involved, law enforcement, and it was a total terrible thing. But that place that I went for 6 weeks to learn more about psychology kind of goes right into your question that usually people fall into those kind of problems because it's not the drug. It's 99.9% of the time it's something else and the drug is covering it up or the drinking
Hmm.
or the whatever. And with in my case, one of the big drivers behind that is I was doing things that weren't really true to who I was. I wasn't, I was doing a job that I didn't really feel fulfilled at. I was trying to match a persona that I thought society would be okay with. And because of that, it was creating this cognitive dissonance in my mind.
Hmm.
And that was really what drove me that it was irreconcilable for me, right? It didn't settle. And so in my 23-year-old wisdom, the way I reconciled that was with prescription medication and taking painkillers. Um, so when I learned that, and that's back to these kingdom principles, like when I learned how to get clear, and even this year when I realized the bookkeeping part of it and trying to grow that is I love being a part of that message, but I don't actually love being a part of that work. And frankly, you'll never see me jumping into a spreadsheet just for a good time. That's not that's not what I do. So I think it's really important, these principles and the kingdom principles, and to really listen to that thing that you hear, that, Thoreau said it, the drum that march to the beat of the drummer that you hear in your life. And I think that's God's voice telling us that here's your this is what the world needs from you. And when we stay
Hmm.
true to that cadence, that beat, that rhythm, it's freaking scary. It's tough to do. But when we do it, we have fulfillment, we have growth, we become a better version of ourselves. Like things go the right way. When we don't do
Yeah.
it, it can get dicey, and that hill gets a slippery slope real fast.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. So if you're looking at that, I mean, that's a big process from, having encountered drugs and then falling into some of those strongholds and then breaking free from that, but then also looking at like even in business, you can fall into a trap where you feel like, okay, this is the thing I have to do. And it
Yep.
turns out you actually don't have to do that. You can hire someone else to do it, or you can bring another partner, or however those things are
Yep.
navigated. And I think if you're looking at it from a perspective of seeking first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, then all the other things that we're worried about, all the things that we're, trying to accomplish are added in. And that's kind of what you were saying is like that thing that's inside you that's driving you. It kind
Yes.
of comes to fruition based on that pursuit that you're doing and pursuing the Lord. So it's really cool how you describe that. If you're looking at some of the things when you talk about success in business, whether you're talking about success for yourself or you're looking at your clients, how would you define success?
I think it's coming back to that. Like if you are doing, to me, it's about freedom. I think freedom to choose. I think we're given free agency in this life to make those choices and to think the thoughts that we want. Sometimes we don't always recognize how delicate those thought processes are. When we start thinking thoughts repeated a few times, they become a habit that we become unaware of, and those habits often rule our lives. And they can be really bad ones like drugs and other, or they can just be self-defeating habits in business, doing the wrong thing. Um, so success, I think, is being able to choose, having the freedom and the flexibility when it comes, that's maybe a little airy-fairy kind of answer. I think like with my clients and the guys that I like to work with, the guys and gals that I coach and work more closely with, it's helping them to recognize, like you said, that there's parts of business that they feel like they have to do, but they don't have to do. So yeah, I told you that I don't love, you'll never see me jumping into a spreadsheet, but thank the good Lord that there are plenty of people that's exactly what they will do. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I have several of
Hmm.
them that work for me, and I'm so grateful that they do because, and it's funny, right, Michael? We'll sit around, I'll have a little meeting with a couple of them. I'll say, okay, here's the problem that we have, and I need to solve this. And I see on their screen, immediately they go to Excel and they open Microsoft Excel and up pops a spreadsheet. I'm like, how the heck does that have to do anything with Excel? That's just where they go. That's
Yeah.
that's
That's how
what
their
they
brain works.
exactly. So I remember it's making me think of a woman that I've had to we become good friends. She was a client, we become really good friends. And she felt trapped in her business, which is why freedom is a big driver for me because I've been trapped by some really nasty habits. And so I don't like to see anybody else get trapped. So she felt like her business was trapped. She had families relying on her, like there were 7 employees plus her. And she's like, all these families are relying on the paycheck. I can't really let them go. Some of them aren't contributing, nothing here and there. And what changed with her is she was working a lot of hours. And I started looking at some of her time, like where your time is going. And so we get into the first part of our process to kind of just check these time leaks. So we started doing that. And I noticed a Saturday block of like 3 hours. I said, wait, what's this? And she's cleaning the office on Saturday morning. So she's going in, nobody else is there. She's cleaning. And I said, hang on a minute. Like, what are you doing there? She said, well, nobody else really, it's just something I can come do and I can save the money. And I'm this. I'm like, okay, big pause right here. Okay. And so we went back to our finances and said, now based on your annual or your monthly revenue and what you're bringing in top line, your time, because you're the primary driver of revenue, all these other roles are support roles, but you're the one doing sales and business development. So if we take this revenue, gross margin wise, your rate is about $400 an hour. And she almost fell out of her chair. It's like, what? I don't even make anywhere close to that. I'm like, yeah, because the money's going to all these other people, right? And all these other overhead. But if your income, gross income is around $400 an hour for your time based on a full-time work week, she's like, I work 2 full-time work weeks in one week. I said, okay, we'll deal with that part later. But she quickly saw the taking out the garbage and wiping everybody's desk and vacuuming and doing everything around the office. I said, do you think there's anybody in your neighborhood that could come and do that job about as good as you? She's like, nah, I'm not doing anything special. I'm like, do you think they'd do it for 25 bucks an hour? She said, probably, yeah, I bet. Like, do you think that would be a blessing to their life? Do you think there's somebody out there that could do the job better than you? They could do it for 25 bucks an hour, and you'd be blessing them with income that they need for their family. And she went,
Yeah.
I'm never cleaning the office again. And she never did
That's
after
good.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And that's good perspective because a lot of times we get caught up in what we're doing and we don't realize, okay, this is something I can get off my plate.
Mhm.
Whether it's through, if you're dealing I deal a lot in digital space, so I hire a lot of virtual agents, people that can work off-site. Maybe they're in another state, maybe they're around the other side of the planet,
Mhm.
wherever they're at. Getting someone that can support you in your business and offloading things like you're saying, like things
Yeah.
that are $10 an hour, $20 an hour, $30 an hour jobs that are sucking the life out of us, like the
Yeah.
whole spreadsheet analogy that you gave. My mind, I don't open spreadsheets very often. I do have some spreadsheets, but I don't get into that world. I'm with
Yep.
you.
Yep. So if we look back at this woman's example, I mean, she immediately right there with that one shift got three-ish, around 3 to 4 hours a week, was back
Hmm.
into her schedule now that she
Yeah,
could use to either enrich herself, rest and relax, or deploy back into the business. And so that's what we got
yeah.
into in phase two. And that's, I don't know if there's anybody that you feel Michael might be out in listening that could benefit from that kind of an analysis, a self-analysis. We have a founder freedom playbook that starts by just looking at the leaks of time. And if that would be helpful for anybody, we're trying to grow our followers. We want businesses. We want to impact 50,000 businesses this year. So if anybody wants to come over to Instagram and just follow me, that's all I ask. I'll send you our Google Doc for how to spot that. Just it's Justin Lund on Instagram and send me the just DM me the word Michael time and I will send you that. Okay?
Awesome. Yeah, and again, that's ITS. It's Justin Lund.
Yes.
And we got time for one more question, Justin.
Okay.
If there's so much happening in the world around us, and just within the last few weeks, we see a lot of things happening in change. There's been some horrible, obviously, if we look
Yeah.
back at things that are happening with people getting murdered, just crazy stuff. But then I see a shift in the spiritual atmosphere around us too, where people are coming to hear from the Lord. They're listening to what's the Lord speaking into our areas around us. So if you're looking at whether it's in your business, in ministry, or in your everyday life, where are you seeing breakthrough and revival happening right now around you?
I think what I'm trying to foster with my team is leveraging technology and all the quick advancements that are coming out through AI to become directors more than doers. And I don't think AI is coming for your job, but I think if someone who's using AI might be coming for your job, there's a little difference there. And I think what that does, Michael, is it creates a little bit of room for breakthroughs, for more inspired work that we can get. Like if we can leave some of our thought habits behind and leverage the technology and use it as a blessing, I think it creates more room. And I'm seeing, and I try to slant how I don't always watch all the news because I don't want the negative side. But from what I do see and the feed that I get, I try to curate so it feeds my mind and my spirit. I am seeing that there are more people speaking out, it seems. There are more people that are finding those common grounds. And I know there's a divisive side and there's the negative side of it, but I'm really tuning that off and turning the volume down
Yeah,
because there's more people saying like this is getting ugly out there, therefore I'm going to spread the good word, and that's what I want to hear. That's what we
yeah,
focus on is what expands, and you got to be careful if you're not curating what comes your way through your feed, through your social media, through your news apps, through whatever. You're going to get the toxic stuff, and that's going to pollute your
mm,
thoughts, and it's hard for the spirit to come through and whisper those still small whisperings. It's hard to hear through all that noise. So curate
yeah.
your feed to feed your mind, I think, if you're doing that. on your
That,
own.
amen. I 100% agree. I think if we don't put a filter on, then we're just opening ourselves up to all kinds of
Yeah.
information and you get sucked down these rabbit holes. And then next thing you know, you spent 30 minutes looking at videos that aren't feeding you, they're not giving you
Correct.
life.
Yeah.
So no doubt some of our listeners are interested in what you've been sharing about your business. And again, that link is It's Justin Lund, and that's on Instagram.
Mhm.
We're going to wrap up from here. Thanks so much, Justin, for joining us and sharing your kingdom focused journey. If
Thanks for having
you're
me, Michael.
a yeah, for sure. If you're a kingdom entrepreneur or leader that's focused on seeing his kingdom come in your business and in everyday life, I want to extend a special invite to join us as a guest. You can visit kingdomcampfires.com and you can apply there. And one more time, we just launched our mobile app. It's a space where kingdom entrepreneurs connect and accelerate business growth. You can go to kingdomcampfires.com and join for free. That's a wrap for today's Kingdom Campfire conversation. We'll see you next time.
In fields where dreams and visions bloom, under stars we watch the flames. We gather in the campfire's light, sharing God's vision for our lives, where sparks of hope and passion flare, bearing our hearts His light to share. Whispers of Holy Spirit's call echo in the hearts of all. Kingdom campfires, they burn so bright. God guides us with His holy light. Entrepreneurs with faith so bold, transforming the marketplace, co-creating kingdom gold. Beyond the fire, where shadows fade, by His grace He guides the way. Every heart on the mission field, together we shall see it built. A tapestry of faith and trades, where every thread is heaven, sharing visions hand in hand. We light these fires across the land. Kingdom campfires, they burn so bright. God guides us with His holy light. Entrepreneurs with faith so bold,